You walk into the office kitchen. Someone looks out the window and says, "Looks like it's going to pour later." And suddenly, everyone is talking, laughing, and sharing weekend plans while you are still trying to think of one natural sentence to say. If you have ever wanted to join that kind of small talk with confidence, this episode will help you sound calm, friendly, and ready. But why is weather talk so common at work? And how can a simple comment about rain build real connection with coworkers? Hi everyone, I'm Jack, and I'm glad you're here. Today we're looking at a very real part of daily English, talking about the weather with coworkers, and along the way, I'll help you notice the words and expressions that make these conversations feel easy and natural. At first, weather talk may seem boring. I used to think that too. But the more I paid attention, the more I realized that weather is often not really about weather. It is a safe way to start a conversation, show warmth, and create a comfortable moment at work. In many English speaking workplaces, people use the weather as an easy opener. Opener means something that starts a conversation. For example, that question was a good opener. When people do not know what else to say, the weather gives them a simple place to begin. You might hear someone say, "It's freezing today," or "I can't believe how hot it is for this time of year." Those lines are not deep, but they do something important. They break the ice. Break the ice means to make people feel more relaxed at the start of a conversation. For example, a short joke can break the ice. That is what makes weather talk useful at work. Coworkers may not want to begin with personal topics, especially early in the day. A quick comment about the cold, the wind, or the rain feels neutral, polite, and easy to answer. And there is another reason this works so well. Weather affects daily life in direct ways. It changes traffic, clothes, mood, lunch plans, and even how much energy people have. So when a coworker says, "The rain really slowed me down this morning," they are not only reporting the weather, they are also sharing a small piece of their day. Slowed me down is a common phrasal verb. It means made me move less quickly. For example, the long line slowed us down. That is the beauty of these small comments. They open the door to real conversation without asking for too much. Imagine this scene. You arrive at work a few minutes late and someone says, "Bad traffic?" You smile and answer, "Yes, the fog was so thick this morning." Thick means dense and hard to see through. For example, the smoke was thick in the room. In one short exchange, you have explained your situation and joined a normal workplace moment. Very often, weather talk also shows shared experience. Everyone in the office felt the same heat on the walk from the train, or everyone heard the thunder during lunch. Shared experience means something several people live through together. For example, travel can be a shared experience. That feeling of "we all notice this" can make people feel closer. Sometimes the weather becomes a bridge to another topic. Someone says, "I hope it clears up by the weekend," and then the conversation moves to hiking, family visits, or a football game. Clears up is a useful phrasal verb. It means the weather gets better, especially after rain or cloud. For example, I hope the sky clears up soon. That shift is so natural, and honestly, I find it fascinating. A comment that sounds small can lead to connection, plans, and even friendship at work. Have you ever noticed how some of the easiest conversations start with something very ordinary? Now, let's look at what people actually say. A very common style is simple observation. Nice day today. It's getting colder. Looks windy out there. These short lines are everywhere because they are easy to understand and easy to answer. You do not need a clever opinion. You only need to notice what is happening. Another common style is reaction. I was not expecting this heat. This humidity is awful. Humidity means the amount of water in the air. For example, high humidity makes the room feel warmer. Reactions sound personal, so they can make the conversation feel more alive. Then there is prediction. I think it's going to rain later. Looks like a storm is coming in. Coming in is a phrasal verb people use when weather is arriving. For example, dark clouds are coming in. This kind of comment invites a response because the other person can agree, disagree, or add something. People also connect weather to plans. If it keeps raining, I might stay in tonight. Stay in means remain at home instead of going out. For example, we stayed in because it was late. This is especially useful at work because it moves from small talk to real life very smoothly. Here is something else worth noticing. In workplace English, the tone matters as much as the words. You do not need to sound dramatic. In fact, a light tone usually works better. If you say, "It's a bit chilly in here," that sounds softer than, "This office is unbearably cold." A bit is a very common phrase that makes your comment gentler. For example, "I'm a bit tired today." That softer tone helps people feel comfortable. At work, many people want to sound friendly, but not too intense. So they often use phrases like, "pretty warm today," "a little gloomy outside," or "looks like we're in for rain." In for here means likely to experience something soon. For example, "we are in for a busy week." You may also hear people complain, but in a mild way. "I'm so over this heat," or "I'm tired of these gray mornings." Over this is a natural expression. It means you are tired of something and do not want more of it. For example, "I'm over these long meetings." Light complaints can be social because they invite agreement. Still, there is a balance. If the complaint is too negative, it can change the mood. Saying, "I cannot stand this weather" once is fine. Repeating strong complaints all day can wear people out. Wear people out means make people feel tired or mentally drained. For example, "too much noise wears me out." So, a smart approach is to keep it brief, then move forward. You might say, "This rain is relentless." Relentless means it does not stop. For example, "the wind was relentless all night." Then you can add, "at least the plants must be happy." That little turn keeps the conversation easy. And there is a cultural reason this matters more than many learners expect. In places like the United Kingdom, weather talk has a famous role in daily conversation. Because the weather changes often, people really do talk about it a lot. In many parts of the United States, Canada, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand, weather also comes up naturally, especially when temperatures are extreme or seasons change clearly. This does not mean people are obsessed with weather every minute. Obsessed means thinking about something too much. For example, he is obsessed with football. What it means is that weather is socially useful. It is one of the easiest shared topics in public and professional life. At work, this matters because small talk builds trust over time, not deep trust all at once, of course. I mean the simple feeling that someone is approachable, pleasant, and easy to work with. Approachable means friendly and easy to talk to. For example, our manager seems approachable. When coworkers have many little exchanges, the workplace can feel smoother. You say something at the coffee machine. Another person replies, and later it becomes easier to ask for help or discuss a task. That is why weather talk is not pointless. It is part of relationship building. So, how can you join these conversations without sounding forced? First, keep your first sentence simple. It's really windy today. The sun feels nice today. I did not expect rain in June. Expect means think something will probably happen. For example, I expect the bus at 9. A simple line is often the best line. Next, add a short personal detail if you want to continue. I had to take a taxi because of the rain. I almost forgot my jacket this morning. Had to is a useful structure that means it was necessary. For example, I had to call my friend. Personal detail gives the other person something to respond to. Then, invite the other person in. You can say, "How was your commute?" Or, "Did you bring an umbrella?" Commute means the trip between home and work. For example, my commute takes 30 minutes. Questions like these are practical and friendly. Another good strategy is to connect weather to a shared situation. This office always feels colder after lunch. The meeting room gets stuffy in hot weather. Stuffy means warm and uncomfortable because the air does not feel fresh. For example, the car was stuffy after the trip. Shared details make the conversation feel real. Of course, not every weather chat becomes a long conversation. Sometimes it is just 10 seconds, and that is completely fine. Small talk does not have to be impressive, it only has to feel natural. There is also a useful skill here: reading the room. Reading the room means noticing how people feel in a situation. For example, she is good at reading the room. If someone is busy, a quick comment is enough. If they seem relaxed, you can say a little more. That point is especially important with coworkers because timing matters. Early morning, before a meeting, or while waiting for the elevator, weather talk fits easily. During a stressful moment, people may not want extra conversation, even if your English is perfect. I think this is where many learners become too hard on themselves. They try to say something original, smart, or impressive. But Native speakers often say very ordinary things about the weather, and that is exactly why it works. The goal is connection, not performance. Here is a teaser for the next part. Some weather phrases sound natural, while others can make you sound too formal. For example, many learners know the sentence, "The weather is inclement today." That is correct, but almost nobody says that in normal office talk. Inclement means unpleasant, usually cold, wet, or windy. For example, we stayed home because the weather was inclement. In real conversation, people usually say, "The weather is awful," or "It's really bad out." The same goes for very textbook lines. There is a high probability of precipitation. May sound funny, but in daily life, people say, "It's probably going to rain." Probability and precipitation are real words, but they do not fit casual talk with coworkers. Fit here means be suitable. For example, "These shoes fit the event." Natural English at work is often shorter and warmer. "Looks like rain. Hope it cools down soon." "Crazy wind today." Cool down is a common phrasal verb. It means become less hot. For example, "The soup needs to cool down." Short phrases can sound more confident than long ones. It also helps to notice common collocations. People say heavy rain, strong wind, bright sun, pouring rain, and weather forecast. Forecast means a report about future weather. For example, "I checked the forecast this morning." Learning these word pairs makes your English sound more natural right away. And then there are those little idioms people love. Under the weather does not mean standing under rain. Under the weather means feeling a little sick. For example, "I stayed home because I felt under the weather." Even though this idiom is not always about actual weather, it appears often in conversation. Another expression is "come rain or shine." Come rain or shine means something will happen whatever the weather is like. For example, "She goes for a walk, come rain or shine." At work, someone may use it jokingly about a routine or habit. What I really enjoy about this topic is how practical it is. You can use it today, almost anywhere, and the results are immediate. A short comment can make you sound more open, more relaxed, and more present in the room. So the next time you hear a coworker mention the heat, the cold, or the forecast, do not stay silent because the topic feels too simple. Simple does not mean useless. In many cases, simple language is the most powerful kind. Before we finish, let me leave you with one easy pattern. Notice, react, connect. Notice the weather. React to it briefly and connect it to life or to the other person. That tiny pattern can carry a lot of everyday conversation. In the end, talking about the weather with coworkers is not really about clouds or temperature. It is about creating easy human moments, and those moments can make work feel lighter and more connected. If you enjoy learning the real conversational situations and exciting topics like this, subscribe and like the channel so you can keep building your listening, pronunciation, and vocabulary with me, Jack, in future episodes.